subscribe, like, comment, and hit the notification.
Hey friends, how are y'all? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Brandy and I am on a weight loss journey, currently on Weight Watchers. No, go. So I'm here today to talk about how did January go for me. At the beginning of the year, I put out a video talking about my weight loss goals and my plans for the whole year, but specifically also for January. So I'll link that video down below if you haven't caught that one yet. I'm gonna try to do these month in review all year long. We'll see how it goes. Sometimes it's hard to stick to a schedule like that, but I don't wanna make them overly complicated, so that way I make sure I always do them. So I have my notes here, and in the month of January, I had 5 main goals. So that's kind of how I'm going to talk about this, talk in this video is like goal related and how I did. And then at the end, we'll recap and I'll tell you kind of what I want to do in this month, February. And it's currently February 7th. So in January, my first goal was to lift 12 sessions in the month. And that's because I was on a program that was 3 days of a week. And I have to say I did that. So I was very, very happy about that. And the first week of January, I lifted 3 days for a total of 25,456 pounds. And then in the second week, I lifted 4 days for 35,302 pounds. And then the third week, I lifted 3 days for 2,144 pounds. And then in the fourth week, I lifted 3 days for a total of 28,239. I didn't write down that one, so I had to go to my Tonal app, which is this machine. I always work out lifting weights on this. But so overall, I hit my goal with 12 lift sessions. I actually got a little extra one in there. So that is great. And I will say weeks 1 through 4, I actually started not the first, not New Year's week, the week after that. I started tracking in WW the first week, but not really paying attention. So the fourth week ran through February. Does that make sense? I'll put up a calendar so everyone can see. So overall, I did really, really well. And in general, that is heavier weight than I typically lift. I'll put a screenshot from my app up. And overall in January, I lifted over 100,000 pounds. And compared to last year, my best month was March, and I only lifted 8,200 pounds. No, 82,000 pounds in a month. But in general, this January, I killed it in the amount of volume of weight I was lifting compared to last year. Like I said, over 100,000. Last year, I didn't even get near 100,000. So I'm looking forward to keeping up that. And my second goal in January was to have a weekly step average of 8,000 K. And I have to say, I would love for this to be higher, but considering I have an office job and a lot of times I am at the computer, this is difficult for me. It was more difficult than I thought it would be. All weeks, I did hit my 8,000 step average for a week, not daily, but I did average over 8,000 K a week. But it was difficult, meaning lifting 3 days a week. On the days I didn't lift, I was having to get on my treadmill before work, after work, take the dogs for a walk. It ended up being good because it got me active minutes and moving. But I'm a type of person, I don't love exercise. So typically 3 to 4 days a week is kind of all I feel I can do to manage self-care, work, home life and all that, cooking, all the chores. And I felt like it's not sustainable for me to keep trying to achieve the 8,000 a day steps. I know that seems silly. I'm going to keep with it. But every night I was on the treadmill at 9 o'clock after all the, dinner and eating and whatnot. And then you had to go shower. So I just don't know how sustainable it is. Maybe I can figure something else out. We'll talk about that when I talk about February goals. The third goal I had in January was just to log into my Tonal every day. I wanted, so that was 31 days, and obviously I'm not lifting 31 days, that's not realistic, but it has meditation, it has stretch, it has yoga, it has a whole bunch of things like that, like recovery, even off Tonal movements, it just says guided. And I did not do that, sadly. I only hit 27 days. I missed 4 days, and 2 of those days is because I started a good night meditation and it ran over to the next day, so it didn't count for the day I needed it to be. But this isn't a huge deal, I mean, it's not, I'm not, my husband, he loves to log in every day. He makes sure he does it, and he has for years. It's not as big of a deal to me, so we'll have to see in February if I even keep that goal. I just wanted to do it in January to get me back in the habit of doing something on here, you know, because I had gotten very, very laxed. My fourth goal was to track all 31 days in Weight Watchers. And I didn't even realize it until I went to like make my notes for this video that I didn't do that. I missed one day. It was a Sunday, and looking back now, I realized how I missed it because we had went home the first weekend of January, like January 4th was like Saturday and 5th. I missed the 5th. I didn't track on our drive back. We went home to celebrate Christmas with my family, and I guess when I drove back, I just didn't think to track. So I did miss that day. Although that week, I really wasn't starting on these goals yet. It didn't count towards my first week when I'm counting 4 weeks. However, my goal was all 31 days, so that doesn't really matter. So that was okay. Overall, I did really well with 30 days, you know. Way better than I did last January, so that's a win. And then my fifth goal was to walk my dogs at least once a week, which I know is low, but again, with all my chores, and I work outside the house, I work far from home, it is still dark this current season when I get home from work, so it's just difficult. And I did that. Week 1, they got 1 walk. Week 2, they did get 2 walks. Week 3, it was rainy here, and somehow it just didn't happen, so we did not get a walk that week. I was very sad about that. But then in week 4, to make up for it, we went on 3 walks. So all in all, I did fairly well with my goals, I will say. So that makes me really, really happy. There were a few other things in my January video that I talked about, not necessarily big goals, but little things I was just going to work on. And that was my bedtime routine, which specifically was going to bed at 11 and getting up at 7. No hitting the snooze till 7:30, and no playing on my phone till 11:15. And I think I did good with that fairly well. There were a few nights when I pushed it to 11:15 or 12. I have found, or mainly like 11:30, I have found that my issue is I will go to bed about 9:30, and then I proceed to either do comments on my videos, edit, usually do something computer related, or phone related, pay bills, I don't know, just various tasks, right? And I'll do that till like 10:30, so I have an hour of that. Well, then I feel like I haven't had my downtime or phone, so no matter what I'm doing, I feel like then I need to follow it up with like scrolling, which I need to get out of that habit because it adds nothing to my life. And yeah, I'm trying. The other thing I had is to only weigh in on Mondays. I did really, really well for the first 3 weeks. And then I did not do well. Then I started weighing daily because I was so frustrated. So I didn't do it. The other thing for self-care I was going to do was get a mani-pedi. That did not happen. No particular reason. We were a little busy this month and I just didn't go. But I'm happy to say I'm glad I didn't because my friend asked me to go tomorrow, so I'm going with her anyhow. 2 social activities. I do know that yes, I did do 2 social activities. One of my friends had a birthday, so I took her to lunch and we went to see Wicked. And then another friend turned 40 and another friend was hosting like a birthday breakfast, so we did that as well. So I got my 2 social events in, and my family's Christmas, if that counts as well. The other mention in January was to read a meditation book I have. I read 0. And they're like short 1 page, not even a page, it may be like 3 lines. It's just kind of like quotes. Yeah, it didn't happen. No reason at all. So overall in January, I feel like it went fairly well. I had the motivation, I was tracking, I was working out and all that. I kept up with my fitness journal. Let me go get it real quick. Yeah, so I did keep up with my fitness journal every week. I will say my monthly view is just like a hot mess. It's so dirty. It's so just messy. I don't really like it. But I was just like getting into the hang of what I wanted to track. Ultimately, this is where I ended up dumping my number of steps, how much volume I listed, my Weight Watcher points, and then my sleep score. Yeah, it just needs to be tidier. And then in the week by weeks, the first week I tried to track what I was eating, and I realized I don't need that because I use Weight Watchers, you know, so I don't need that. And so someone in a video said, why don't you just use it for meal planning? No, Rio, no. Sorry, my dog's trying to get in. But yeah, so after the first week, that's all I've been using it for is meal planning and a little bit of tracking. But it's worked out really, really well. So at the end of the month is where you go in and take your measurements, which I have done. But before we go into the measurements, let's talk about the scale. Does that tell you something? I'm pulling up my Weight Watchers app because that is where I track my weight. Let's get that on record so you can see that. Go to the weight. So when I did my January video, I know we started my weight at 157.6. And I knew in that video, and I'm pretty sure I said it, that I didn't feel like that was an accurate weight because just like a few days before I was weighing 159. So I wasn't, you know, really confident that was a good starting weight. And sure enough, on January 6th, the next time I weighed in, I was back to 159. I dropped after week 1 to 158.7. And then I went to 157.6. And at that point, I think I got excited. And so then I started weighing daily. And I was staying at 157.7, 157.6, then 157. And at this point on the 23rd, I was very happy. I was like, okay, this is working. The scale is going. We're doing great, right? Full motivation. Then come the 27th, I was up to 158.4, then 158.2. So then I started weighing again like daily because I was getting stressed. And so I ended the month at 158. So technically, depending if you take the weight I gave y'all on the 30th, I'm up 0.4 pounds. If you take the weight on the week before when I was like 159, then maybe I'm down a pound. Overall, not happy with this at all. Yes, you can say you can have off-scale victories. However, I will say I ate on track every day in January. Not meaning I get 23 points a day. I did have days where I ate over 23 points. However, I never went over my weekly's inactivity points. Never. And every day, I think every single day, Weight Watchers actually gave me a blue dot and said I was good. So, how's that happen? So now let's get into the measurements and see if I had any success there. Okay, friends, it is time to measure. Today is February 2nd. I have not filmed my February or January review yet, but I have taken notes. I've averaged stuff, that sort of thing. But now it's time for the measurements. And I have not looked at last month's measurements. I don't want to be biased when I'm doing these measurements. All I did do is go glance at my video to see what top I had on. I don't think wearing the same bottoms really matters, but I do think the top, especially because I had on like a different type of sports bra. But let's get started. Okay, got my February measurement page all lined up. Let's get on it. Seeing it has versus last month, I haven't put anything in there on purpose. I am about to work out too, but I figured I'd do this first so I'm not hot and sweaty. 13. Boobies. Just 36.25. I have a freckle on my arm, and I think I tried to line it up with the freckle last time. I was gonna ask if I wanted his help, and I was like, no, I can do it. It would probably be easier with someone's help. I get slightly bigger. $32. 36 points. 15 and a half. Yeah, I think 15 and a half. Start with the neck. Last month it was 13 inches and this month it was 13 inches. And funny enough, I actually wrote in my book that last month my neck was 16 inches. So when I measured and it was 13 and I double checked it, I was like, I didn't lose 3 inches in my neck. There's no way. And sure enough, I went back and watched my video and I just wrote it down wrong. So no change there. Now here's where I got a little more surprised. When I measured my chest and I made sure I had this same sports bra on. Last month I was 38 and this month I was 36.75. So that was really surprising to me because that was 1.25 inches. And then my bicep last month, both arms measured at 12.25. Whereas this month, my right one was still at 12.25, but my left one was at 12. And then my waist last month, I measured at 33, and this month I measured at 32. And then my hips last month were at 36.5, and this month they were down 1/4 of an inch to 36.25. And then my thighs were at 22.5 last month for my left, and 22 for my right. And I measured them both at 23 this month, so it seemed like they increased maybe a little. And then same with my calves. Last month, both my calves measured at 15.25, and this month they measured at 15.5. And the last area I measured was my butt, and last month it was at 41, and now I measured at 41.5. I will say, I don't know if these are true measurement changes because I am self-measuring. It is difficult to get it the same each time. However, like on my arms and thighs, there's like a, not birthmark, a freckle that I follow. So I really do try to get them as accurate as can be. I ended up writing my weight as 158 because that was on January 31st. That was the weight, so that's what I used. And if I compare that to December 30th, then I'm up 0.04 pounds. So I am telling you, that frustrates the hell out of me. It really, really does, because I don't know what I could do better as far as eating and working out. I couldn't have worked out anymore. There was no more time for me to do that. Eating, could I have eaten more whole foods? Absolutely. However, I do not have the time to do that every day. I have to use convenience items. If not, I would be picking up stuff out of the house. So I am very frustrated. So I'm very frustrated, and I have to say this first week in February, it's really come through. There's been a couple days I have just kind of like, screw it and eaten off track. I'm still tracking. It's nothing crazy. When I say that, I mean, I went and got like a pizza from Shalotsky's on BOGO Pizza Day. Granted, I did give one of the pizzas, you buy one pizza, get one free. A coworker and I, we split it. We had over like 3 or 4 pieces left at the end, so we didn't even eat a whole pizza. But I feel like I've been like doing things that I would not have done in January. Eating a handful of nuts here and there, having a slice of banana nut bread. And it's been this week, and I don't know if it's because when I was unsuccessful in January, now I'm like, what's the point? It's not gonna happen for you anyways. Or it's also a couple days before my period, and I get very hungry and snacky right before. So I don't know. I don't want to be too negative in this video because I am still going to try, people. I'm not giving up on Weight Watchers yet. I'm not. But, and the only reason I'm not giving up on it is because it has worked for me in the past, and counting calories has not. So I'm trying to trust the process. Okay, So now let's go ahead and talk about February plans, which I did. I got to bring out my journal because I did write that down already. I'm excited though too because next month I made my outline very pretty, and I ultimately decided my monthly view is going to be used to count my steps, walking the dog, lifting, and WW points. So I'm excited that I got it lined out and it won't be chicken scratch. So let's go over my month in review. Okay, so the book prompt, it gives you little prompts and it says, what were your biggest wins? And I put 2 of them. I put tracking everything every day except for a single day. And then my second one were all 4 weeks, I had intensity minutes way above my 180-minute goal. This came naturally with the extra steps and lifting. And this is my Garmin watch, and 180 minutes equals 30 minutes a day, which is like what the heart, I think it's like the American Heart Association recommends to keep a healthy heart. So that's where that number came from. And I blew it out of the chart this month. Overall, I had so many active minutes, especially when you compare to last year, I killed it. And then the next prompt was, how do I feel about my progress? I said, I feel defeated. I followed the plan, moved my body pretty much all 31 days, and the scale did not move. Not sure what else I could do that would be sustainable long term. I don't know why I'm gonna cry. Okay, get with it. There's way worse problems in the world. This is silly. It's also because I'm about to start my period next week. I actually did a full face of makeup. I cannot cry. I never do all this makeup. Okay, get with it. Sorry about that, folks. Sorry about that. Okay, and then it says, which life areas were lacking? I said eating within my points without my weekly or active points. Also, self-care was lacking. And it says, how will I improve next month? And I said, focus on more lower points regardless of my bank. That meant like your weekly bank and more self-care. So, okay. So let's talk specifically about the goals. About the February goals, which I've already started. I'm going to keep that 8K weekly step average. Yes, I struggled with it. It ended up some days having to get 12,000 steps. I think I really am going to try to wake up earlier and hopefully either take my dogs for a walk, or if it's rainy or nasty, get on my treadmill. That way I'm not trying to do them late at night. I think that was my problem in January, is trying to do them after work. And then also at work, I can get up for 5 minutes and go walk around the track. Yeah, it's not a ton of steps, but it's like 300. So keeping that goal. Number 2 goal is to walk my dogs twice a week. I wanted to up that for their sake. And also I realized if I'm doing this much walking on the treadmill, it's unfair of me to not let them do that much walking outside. So that's why, since I'm keeping the step goal, I figured I'd increase the dog walks. And I made a blunder today. Today is a Friday and I'm off work, and I worked out. I had to finish a lift program. And then I was like, you know what? I want to get ahead of the game today and go ahead and get on the treadmill. And I did an extra 30 minutes to get steps in. And then as soon as I got off the treadmill, I was like, oh, I could have taken the dogs for a walk. Granted, it was like nasty outside, but it wouldn't have mattered. I hadn't showered or anything. So now I'm like frustrated at myself. But I still promised them I'd take them today. I'll just take them like later. But then I went ahead to get on the treadmill and get all those steps. Okay, my third goal is I put 12 lift sessions, but you know, that's before I committed with my husband to work out 4 times a week. So let me figure that out really quickly. So actually it's going to be 16 lift sessions. Okay, because it's a 4-week program, 4 times a week. So increase that goal, which is good because the program, we've already done it for a week. It's not as heavy as my other program, so I'm glad I have an extra day to get more volume. Okay, and then my 4th goal was to track all my food in the WW app and compare it to calories. I'm not going to do this the whole month, but 2 weeks, I think probably at the end of the month, I am going to look at the calories I'm eating, or actually I may do the whole month and just like manually add them up just to see how I am doing, because I'm not sure how I'm staying on WW point track and not losing weight. And I know at the end of the day, it is calories in, calories out, and that is all I believe, you know. I do think there's other things that can impact how we're burning calories, but at the end of the day, it's calories in, calories out, period. Okay, so the other little things, you know, that's like the main goals, and then you have another little section, and this one was health and fitness. I put movement. I want to be active over 180 minutes a week, which I did great last month, so I incorporated it into this one. Body image, I said weigh only on Mondays. I know I didn't do that last month. I'm going to try again. And the reason, because I found that last month when I weighed, and it was when I weighed more than once a month and it was positive, it impacted my mood positively. But when I weighed and it was not a positive outcome, it really impacted my day and my mindset. So I don't want to do that to myself every day and be on that roller coaster. So I'm going to try to go back Mondays only. Self-care, I said hair, nails, and eyebrow this month, which all of them were already booked. You see this? That needs something. Usually I spray it, but since I'm going to get my hair done, I want her to be able to see where the gray is. Okay, I'm going to keep the bed 11 to 7. I just need to keep working on that personal habit a little more. I said again, 2 social times. I need to keep being social. I have a tendency, I enjoy being alone. I don't mind being home. So I have to make that effort to hang out with people, which I'm already doing tomorrow. I have a nail appointment with friends, so that's a social activity. So I'll just need to get 1 more on the books for the end of the month, which should be easy. And then I'm going to keep the meditation on the table. I feel like I need that. I don't know how often, but I'm going to pick up that book and read it. So all in all, that is my February plans, and this is my January and a wrap up. Let me know how you all did. Are you sticking with it? Are you on Weight Watchers? Are you just here for meal ideas and that sort of thing? Tell me. I would love to know. Okay, I will be back early March to let y'all know how February did, and let's hope that scale moves. If not, I will say I will be highly, highly defeated. Bye, friends.
Apart with your feet, not too narrow, not too wide.
Whew. It's hard starting back.
Right here. Tap into that strength. You got this.
I just finished my first big lift of the year. Last week was like New Year's week, so like Wednesday was the first. That week I just did some really light things, and this week was my get back to it. Over 12,000 pounds, and I am dying. I have not been lifting that. On average, I've been lifting like 3,000 or 4,000. So I am about to die, but I did it. Come here, come here, come here. Sit, come here, Ash, come here. Turn. Sit. Rio, come over here. Sit. Rio, sit. Stay. 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 Rio, sit.